Avlea folk embroidery. And this is the December FlossTube Christmas edition. I thought it'd be really fun to actually do the FlossTube here in the living room. We have our crackling fire, we have our tree, we have some of the presents wrapped, but still many more to wrap. So I want to, as usual, this is a FlossTube, so we're going to talk all about embroidery. And I just want to give you all my stuff before I start, because I'm supposed to do that. I'm Krista West. I'm the owner and designer of Avlea Folk Embroidery. We specialize in Mediterranean-inspired embroidery kits and patterns. We do both cross-stitch and surface embroidery, both kinds. And I've got a lot to share with you today. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can see what's going on in my daily creative life. And my Instagram is kristamwest. It'll also be in the description on the YouTube video. And I'm really pushing my comfort level lately and really learning how to do things like reels. I actually got a TikTok account so I could learn how to do that. And then I'm working more with stories, just to sort of give you more of a window into how designs go from basically from kind of an idea, a concept, all the way through to a finished kit or pattern or something like that. And as well as different ways that you can finish my designs. Some things are finished as stuff for the house, some stuff's finished as table runners. I'll show you a wall hanging in just a bit. So there's a lot of options for how you can finish traditional embroidery, because the really cool thing about it was traditional embroidery was designed to be used. It was designed to be used in a home setting. And that's actually one of the things that keeps me coming back for more all the time, to make a new design. I'm still trying to get 2 more designs for my pillow project in my living room. I have 1 down, 2 more to go. So anyways, so this month, most of you probably already saw on Instagram, or you'll get the email on Saturday morning, I think, that I have 2 new designs for December that I'm pretty excited about. Both are red, which is kind of cool. It actually just happened this way. I didn't really actually plan for it. And sometimes the best things are the things that you don't plan for. And that's certainly the case with these 2 designs. The first design is the new Pascha Basket cover, the 2022 Pascha Basket cover. This design is so beautiful. I actually took a very small cross motif out of a Latvian needlework booklet that I have in my own private collection of vintage needlework booklets. And I turned it into a more elaborate cross, used a lot of backstitching, and then developed a border for it that has little sort of 8-pointed stars and checkerboard, and really, really lovely. This was actually stitched by my friend Maria. It was so nice for her to do that for me. I was just getting ready to stitch the design back in, it would have been August, and then I actually got a call an email from Just Cross Stitch magazine, who wanted to feature another one of my Easter basket covers in their magazine. So I had to switch gears, and Maria kindly took this over and stitched this for me. This is stitched on 30 count legacy linen swan feather. I am currently sourcing a new linen from overseas, and so right now when the kit releases, it will be available on the Peony 30 count fabric. That's our mercerized cotton fabric. And then the linen should be here in a few weeks. Little shipping delays, it's hard to say exactly when it'll be here. But I'm staying hopeful, staying positive about that. For those of you who are not familiar with Pascha Basket covers, let me tell you a little bit about that. You'll notice on the kit and in the pattern that they're basically, you'll see it staged, the cloth staged in a basket. And the reason for that is there's a really beautiful custom in Eastern Orthodox homes. This is Russian Orthodox, Romanian Orthodox. It's actually interesting, this is more of a Russian custom than a Greek custom. But it's just such it's a Greek custom, and it involves a textile. So I had to show up to that party. So basically, Orthodox Christians fast from meat and dairy for the full 7 weeks before Easter, for almost 2 months. So they basically go vegan, and they don't eat any meat and any dairy for a long time before Easter. So our Easter parties are really awesome, because we're all getting to experience meat and cheese for the first time in 2 months. And believe me, it is a spiritual experience. When you have not had butter, I'll never forget. My first Lent, actually really fasting, and the first time I tasted butter after not having butter for 2 months, it was a revelation. So in these countries, what will happen is the family will come to the resurrection service on Easter night. It's always on Easter night. So like the Saturday night before Easter, they'll come up to church around 11 p.m. and they'll bring baskets of all the foods that they've been missing. Meats, cheeses, salami, things like that. And then they'll cover them with these traditional covers. And it's just this really beautiful custom. And for a long time, there weren't that many designs available here in the US. And so I've committed to releasing a new one every year. This year, I'm gonna actually have two, because this one's releasing, the Pascha Basket 2022. And then the one in Just Cross Stitch magazine is going to be releasing in late February. It's for their April issue, but it'll release in late February. I think they told me it'll hit newsstands around like February 21st or something like that. But I was really concerned that for a lot of people that wouldn't give them quite enough time to stitch something like this up before Easter, before Pascha. And Pascha is just the Greek word for Easter, just so you guys know that, for those of you who aren't familiar with that word. And so I thought, oh wait, when's the perfect time to release one? At the previous holiday. So like at Christmas time is a great time to release something like this, because then people have a good 4 or 5 months to work on this. I'd love to like see Orthodox families like have these as heirlooms. This would be a beautiful wedding gift for someone, like to stitch one and give it to them as a wedding gift, especially a new bride. That'd be like really cool. Anyways, so this is the design, and they're not always red and white, but a lot of traditional embroidery from Russia and the Ukraine and Romania and Serbia is very red dominant, and so I like to make mine with really very red forward designs. Plus, it's kind of fun for me as a designer to work on a design in a single color. You see a design a little differently when you only have one color in your palette than when you work with like 5 or 6 or 10 colors. So that's kind of fun. So that's the Pascha Basket cover. That's our first design to show you today. Next up, the next release for December is Naxos Lattice. Okay, this is a great design. Okay, I haven't released a all-over table runner design for a really long time. This is similar in sort of feel and size to the Aegean octagon table runner that so many of you love. And I wanted to do something that honored another type of island embroidery. Now this is a very simplified design and it's very easy to pick up. I actually had somebody message me this morning and ask if it was good for a beginner. And yes, it's a lot of stitching, but in terms of like the complexity of the design, it's super easy for a beginner. And I would have to argue that if you really wanted to pick up cross stitch and do it, I would say sink your teeth into something like this. If you can commit a good like hour every night to like sit and stitch at it, you'll be a pro within like a month. So this would be a great project for that. It's also in a single color, makes it easier, not a lot of color changes. This is actually stitched on my traditional ground cloth that I import from Greece, and it's DMC 347. I think they call that one salmon very dark or something very weird like that. But it's this lovely traditional red. It's just like this perfectly balanced traditional red. I use it a lot. It's like not totally blue red, not totally orange red. It's just really, really awesome. So anyways, but to give you a little bit of the history behind this, on the Isle of Naxos, there's a very distinctive type of embroidery that's done in the island of Naxos in the Cyclades Islands. And once you kind of know what to look for, these very, very diamond-shaped, very oftentimes have worked in shades of red or red with garnet, which is just beautiful together. There are these very stylized, geometric, all-over repeat designs. You'll see cushion covers. Sometimes you'll see them as, I'm trying to think. Nope, they're not usually worked as bed tent curtains, but usually cushion covers. Once you see a Naxos design, like anytime you see something, you're like, oh, it's Naxos. Like it's very distinctive. They almost always have something in a lattice design like this, and something that has a half drop motif repeat. And I believe we have covered the half drop motif repeat idea in previous FlossTubes, but a refresher on that is that early fabric design, that all the motifs, like say if you had a circle or a little diamond, we're like diamond, 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 and then next row, diamond, 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 next row, diamond, 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 okay? Well then, probably around the 5th, 6th century, people were like, ooh, let's do something new. So they did diamond, 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 and they're like, ooh, let's take the next row and drop it down and slide it over halfway. So now you have diamond, 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 diamond. And that's called a half drop motif repeat because it's dropped halfway down, at least it's dropped halfway down, halfway over. And what it does from a design point of view that is so cool is it essentially gives you an entire, what's called a secondary motif. So you have a primary motif, that first diamond, 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 and then in the little space between, you now have a little spot that you can do something else, add an embellishment. It's seen sometimes too with rondelles. You'll have like a rondelle and then you'll have like a secondary motif. And actually, now that I'm saying that, not so much rondelles, more diamonds and square shapes because of the way the geometry works out. And so this one basically has a little diamond as your primary motif, and then you have this really nice little, I think it's like 5 stitches by 5 stitches little square with little latticing to connect it, which creates kind of a secondary motif. Really beautiful. So this is a great table runner. The other option too is you could very easily stitch this in a different color. If you don't like the 347 red and you wanted a different color, and you know it's a color I carry, which is now letting me think I should probably put all of our DMC colors as a list on the website, you could always just email me and I'd be happy to swap out a different color for you. So like if you wanted the 924 blue, or if you wanted the 733 medium olive green or something like that, just message me and I'll be happy to swap out the floss. It's like 103 yards of floss. I was making the kits last week. It's a lot of floss. Anyways, so that's Naxos Lattice. And that's this month's release, along with the Easter basket. So we have that there. And then I have, wow, so much more stuff. It's so funny. Every month, like I plan to release one thing. I have a little calendar and I'm like, okay, let's release this. And then all these things come at me out of the blue and I forget about them. It's sort of like I cast my embroidery bread upon the waters and it just all comes back to me. And this is a good example of that. So Aaron Armstrong and his wife Maria, Aaron and Maria, are very avid embroiderers, and they do a lot of my pomegranate pattern, the Pomegranate Collection patterns. So for those of you who are not familiar with those are patterns or designs for which I've done a design that I think is super cool, but I have not had time to stitch the sample, or like it's on the docket to be stitched. What I do with those is I release them on if you go to the Avlea website where it says shop and then you just filter for the Pomegranate Collection, those patterns are $5 because they're only available as downloads and they are not available as paper patterns because I don't have a stitch sample. I don't have like a pretty cover image to put on the pattern for you. So it's been super exciting over the last few months. We've had a number of graduates to the Pomegranate Collection. So Olive Branch was one that just graduated. Thank you, Celeste Lee. And she stitched the sample and we turned it into the runner and I was able to photograph it. And wow, I was so excited to see how many of you like that design. I think it's awesome. I love that little olive branch thing. It's very like simple yet really cool and beautiful at the same time. Well, one of the designs that I've loved for the longest time is this design called Cycladian Chevron. You'll see it's a chevron because of these zigzaggy things. Chevron is the swanky term for zigzag, okay? So there's your new like little art history term for the day. You can just go around and say, oh, that's a very nice chevron on Charlie Brown's sweater, okay? And you just look instantly like really cool. At least to an art historical nerd, you look cool. So there's that. But I love this design because again, it's just got this really lots of red in it, very traditional design. And this one I kept a very traditional color palette, reds and blues. This is how a lot of embroidery is done in the Greek islands and a lot of folk embroidery. Very bright, primary type colors, not a lot of like shading, a lot of high contrast because it really makes the geometric designs pop. Like for example, there's this little crosslet motif that's actually just the negative space in the blue bands of chevron. It's really, really cool. So Erin actually emailed me about 2 weeks ago, was like, hey, I finished that up and turned it into a pillow. Do you want it to photograph? And I'm like, yes, please. So I just, we're gonna release this probably in the next week or two. I'll just get it on the website. It'll be kind of a quieter release. I'll probably say something about it on Instagram because I hate to throw too much at you guys. But, so this will release. And this, he finished as a little pillow, which I just think looks really cute. I actually staged it for the cover image for the pattern. I staged it on my guest room bed, and it just looked really, really great. But you could also finish it as like a little small table mat. It would also be a really, really great little design to like finish as a table mat with either a basic hem or a drawn thread hem. Maybe put it on your mantelpiece with like a candlestick or a family photo on it. It'd look beautiful. You can also swap out colors as usual. This one only has 3 colors. It has 347, our old friend, 347. It has the 918 Copper Very Dark, which is a copper color. It doesn't really look coppery in this, but it is copper. And then the 931, is it 931? 931 Antique Blue Medium, another really great blue. So this will go on the website pretty soon. The pattern's all done. I mainly just need to make up the kits and get it on the website. So there's another design. Oh, and see, you can even put it behind you as a sweet little bolster pillow while you are embroidering. So how perfect is that? Wow, it's a lot. I know, I say this every month, but it's so amazing to me. It's like I plan for one thing and then suddenly I have like 10 things to show you. And some of it's stuff that I'm showing you in other floss tubes that is now like kind of moved forward. Because one of the things that I'm finding challenging is still like figuring out how often to release and when to release. Like actually, for example, I have no less than a dozen projects going right now that are actually I'm either in the middle of stitching them, or the design work's done, or I'm getting ready to stitch them, or maybe they're stitched and now I just need to finish them. So it's hard. You know, I struggle, like everyone, I struggle with like managing my schedule, especially because I'm still working my day job as a Greek Orthodox vestment maker, as an ecclesiastical tailor, a tailor for churches. And so it's just challenging. And I know I'm probably very much preaching to the choir. I'm sure all of you are like, so you're all busy and life is busy and all those things. But I'm trying to get better in the new year about being a little bit more regular about my releases and really giving myself permission to take at least a couple of days each month just to work on finishing, photographing, and getting things to the next level, which is actually going to be kind of important this next year. Okay, this is exciting. I'm excited. I just got approved this morning to display at I believe it's called the H&H America trade show for the craft industry in Chicago in June. It's kind of a really big deal because first off, it's pretty expensive. It is not an inexpensive buy-in, I will tell you that. I am going to have a little teeny tiny space, like 100 square feet, but that'll be great. But that is a great big trade show that is, some of you may have heard about it. It normally happens in Cologne, Germany, and a friend of mine actually has gone and said it's just amazing. It's for all sorts of makers and craftspeople, and not just like needlework. It's all different sorts of things, but it's primarily a maker industry trade show, so that small designers like me can sort of get like discovered by quilt shops, yarn shops, needlework shops, bookstores, different places that want to sell textile kits and things like that. And so this one's pretty exciting because it's the first time they're doing this show in the United States. And I wasn't even sure they would approve someone like me, but they did. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm going to be spending a lot of next year like getting all of my stuff ready, getting samples ready and getting patterns ready and having things like ready to go. But it's pretty exciting. It's exciting for me as a designer to have an opportunity to take my work to a little bit larger stage. So that'll be fun. Of course, I'll probably be like one of the teeny tiniest little booths there. But you know what? That's okay. That's totally okay. And I'll just be happy to be there. And I think it'll just be a really interesting experience. Plus, I'm actually super looking forward to the breaks so I can like walk around and see who else is there. I mean, can you imagine a maker trade show people? Like, let that sink in, okay? Wow. So I'm excited about that. So, moving along. Next up, okay, I'm going to show you this. So I told you guys about the Adavirian Stir and Vine design, which, let me see if I can do it. I messed up. Okay, so I just did a wall hanging video for this, and I think it's going to make everyone who's ever made a mistake feel really, really better about themselves today, because I literally finished it upside down. My own design. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. But I finished it upside down. Can you believe it? Oh my word. I was rushing through finishing, trying to get stuff done, and I wasn't allowing myself enough space and grace to get that done. And so I looked at it and thought it was right, and then I went and looked at the pictures because I was all ready to send the pictures off to my graphic designer, Kristen, and get her to like do the pattern. And I was like, oh no, it's upside down. So this is actually the correct way that it's supposed to go. And it's actually not a big deal. I'll go through and I'll fix it. And actually, I think it'll be just fine. I can still turn it into a wall hanging. We'll all be good. All will be fixed. But it's such a beautiful design. I'm going to get a little bit closer with this one. It's just stunning. This design is one that we've actually had in process for quite a while because my friend Tom Aida has been stitching the sample for the last like 4 or 5 months. It's taken a while. It's about 8,000 stitches if I remember right, maybe 9. But this motif is so beautiful. It's used on bed tent curtains in the Isles of Rhodes and Kos. Those islands in the Greek islands in the Mediterranean are known specifically for their bed tent curtains, which are the most incredible works of art. They're just simply exquisite. They will oftentimes feature 30 or 40 motifs like this. So we're talking about a collective stitch count total, including borders and everything, of easily 500,000 stitches. So just to give you an idea and put that in perspective, wait, did I do that math right? Yeah, 30 of them at 10,000 stitches a pop. Yep, plus the border stitches. Yep. So I stitch every day for a minimum of 2 hours, and I stitch 100,000 stitches a year. So we're talking about, basically for me, that would be a 5-year project if I only did that. Now, a lot of we know now from like art history articles, scholarly articles, we know that these bed tent curtains weren't always made like by just women in villages. They were most likely made by professional embroidery shops. So like people would basically order them for say a daughter or a female relative as part of her dowry. So there were probably multiple people working on them, but still 500,000 stitches, oh my word, it's really quite a lot. So anyway, so Out of Berry and Star and Vine is going to probably release in January, very, very soon. We're getting close on this one. And then more releases coming up is this little guy just got finished. I just finished him yesterday. So cute. We're calling this one BitKit Dianthia. And it's another BitKit. I haven't actually released a new BitKit for a while. It's been a couple of months. And I like to try and keep those BitKits fresh and have new designs because they're such a great intro for anybody who's starting out to cross stitch. They're great for when you want like a small project, a small gift, that kind of a thing. Just a little taste of embroidery. But I've wanted for the longest time to do a design that features serrated carnations because these little serrated carnations like this are such a common motif in folk embroidery. I kind of wanted them to just sort of get to be the star of the show in this one. It's a little, and Dianthia in Greek means carnation. So like dianthus. Some of you know Sweet Williams is a type of carnation. Those of you who garden, dianthus, Dianthia, it's like a whole, I'm sensing that I'm going to get in over my head with the gardening folks here right now, but it is like a whole category. Let's say category because I don't know how to use words like genus and subset and all those like plant people words. I'm really good at digging in the dirt, and the rest of gardening is like bit of a mystery to me. But anyways, so Dianthia, and it's in this like really bright fresh color palette. For this one I used 806 Wedgwood Blue, the 347, wait for it, right? Like we're definitely sensing a theme today. And then I used the 469 green, that kind of avocado green, which just looks so fresh, so bright. I just loved this. And it actually kind of funny, it ended up looking kind of Christmassy, but I could see it being used like in the summer or kind of Christmassy. This one's kind of multi-purpose, which is kind of fun. So, and it's a real small stitch count if I remember right. It's like right around 2,200 stitches, so a nice little small project. So that's coming out real soon. Then, oh, we were just talking about Pomegranate Collection graduates. And we have another one coming up, which this was one of those designs that when I designed it, I was like, oh my gosh, I love that design. I so want to stitch it. And then the reality of like, I have too many other samples and I couldn't stitch it. And so this one just came back to me. It's called Venetian Coins. You can't find it on the website right now because I took it down because we're getting ready to release the kit. It has a really happy, vibrant, springy color palette. So I'll probably release this in, I'm thinking February-ish. And it is, the colors are 733 medium olive green, 3816, which is like a turquoise. Let's see here. 927 gray green light, and now I'm looking at the blue, trying to. Oh, I think it's not 930 antique blue dark. I think those are the colors. But I was so happy with how this turned out, especially when I read last week. They're starting to publish on like Google and Instagram and all the places the like home interior trends coming up for 2022. Let's see, Benjamin Moore Paint Company just released their color of 2022. It is a beautiful soft green called October Mist, really nice. Don't really know why they chose the word October for a 2022 color of the year, because it kind of feels a little limited. You know, if Benjamin Moore is watching, hey folks, I'd recommend maybe a little bit more creative name. But the trend coming forward for 2022, some of the trends, there's a lot of design trends out there, but we're going to be looking at more greens and nature themes, greens, blues, that kind of a thing. And I just felt like that was just perfect. That feels like where I'm at design-wise. Of course, you're going like, Krista, you just showed us all the red stuff. Yes, I showed you the red stuff. There is always going to be a lot of red stuff on the Avlea site because that's just so much a part of traditional folk embroidery. But I'm really having fun right now playing around and adapting some of these more historic designs to sort of amp up some of the other colors like greens and blues and things like that. I've added, 8 or 10 new colors of DMC colors that are coming soon. Very exciting. And about more than half of them, about 2/3 of them were greens and blues, just to kind of fill out my range on those and be able to do a little bit more with it. And also too, because of the linen. Oh, I forgot to give you guys the linen update. So in the last FlossTube, I talked about how I've been trying to broker deals with factories overseas on linen. I am still very much working on that. I had to take a tack. The first sample that came in I wasn't happy with, and so we decided not to move forward with that factory. However, I've been checking among my Greek contacts. I work with several Greek mills in Athens, and it looks like I might have been able to find a wholesaler that can help me locate and procure either Belgian or Czechoslovakian linen, which I'm pretty excited about. Those will be really high quality linens, and be able to get those at a price point that is more affordable for all of you. That's my goal. If anybody wants to send up a good thought to the universe, you can say, because honestly for me as a shop owner, I could just keep buying the, legacy linen and things like this. I could keep buying it, and it's great linen. I could keep buying it, but it's so expensive, and I have to charge so much for those kits for you guys, and it just breaks my heart, because then it means that not everybody can do like Miriam's Garden or Anafi Diamanti, because they're like $80 kits, and they're expensive. And I want those kits to be a little bit better price point. If I can find a good supply of wholesale linen, that's going to drop the price of those kits, those kind of kits, significantly down to closer to like $56, right around $56.60 mark, which is just a lot better price point for a kit like that, at least in my mind. Of course, I am kind of a dyed-in-the-wool frugalista, but I don't want the Avlea designs to be priced to where it keeps people away from embroidery. That's not really why I went into this. I went into this because I wanted to share folk embroidery, help preserve folk embroidery, pass on folk embroidery, and getting a really good source of linen is kind of the next step for me. And I also am getting in the other direction. So linen kind of takes us finer. The traditional ground cloth is 26 count, and the linens that I've used are 30 count. But my wholesaler in Greece is also helping me locate some more traditional ground cloth fabrics, things like the traditional ground cloth, but are like slightly different. And one of them is a 25 count that I'm going to try out. It should be here in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of excited about it because it's a little bit lighter ivory color than the traditional ground cloth. Well, it's actually kind of between the traditional ground cloth and the Cycladian Chevron, the sugar color of the Mycenae fabric. So I'm kind of excited about that. So we'll see what happens. And you do see in some historic folk embroidery, you see larger, it's actually, let's see, the lower thread counts. You see things like 25 count fabrics and even down to like 20 count fabrics. And the cross stitches become really, they look really kind of big, but they've got this very cool kind of primitive quality that I really like. So I think that'd be a fun thing to play with. Plus I've heard from a lot of you, who have trouble seeing the 30 count fabrics. I am telling you people, preach it. I'm so here. I have to have these like special magnifier glasses that my optometrist has to put like all the little things, you know, it's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching when I go in for my optometry exhibit, and ka-ching, ka-ching. How about some more magnification? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Let's just keep adding those lenses. Now I'm up to like 4.0 something, some crazy amount. I can only see 10 inches. They're wonderful for doing stitching, but I totally get that people want something that isn't always such a fine fabric, but still like produces a really cool result. So that's in the works too. And then, let's see. We're coming to the tail end of my little pile here. Okay, so the last thing, oh, I'm so excited about this. I really did save the best for last for you today. I'm so excited. So finally, after 4 months in the works, we have a new hoop kit coming out. So exciting. Okay, so this is, I'm going to show you that. Hopefully you can see that. Whoops, let me get it the right way. This is Tree of Life. This is based on a 15th century textile fragment that was found in Egypt that is most likely a Byzantine textile fragment. It features this is, in art history terms, this is a cypress tree. Now cypresses were associated with mourning and death, but with that overlay of Christianity in the Byzantine Empire, they became a symbol, they also have an overlay of resurrection. So they're no longer a symbol of just death, they're a symbol of death and life. And I really, really love that very nuanced, complex symbology. And I just finished stitching the sample a couple days ago, and I had so much fun stitching it. I tried to keep the stitches on this pretty simple because it's a really complex design. So it is just a little bit of back stitch, mostly satin stitch, some French knots, and a little row of stem stitch all around the edge, because the stem stitch makes it look kind of cool. The color palette, I wanted to work in a very sort of historic color palette, which is why I chose the reds, blues, and greens. And it is a dark and a light tone of each of those colors. So it is actually 221 Shell Pink Very Dark, which I'm just here to tell you is another one of those ones. I didn't see anything shell or pink about it. It's just this super awesome red that I am now totally in love with. Alizarin 21. This is the 21 alizarin. It's like a very light, it's a light coral. Those two paired. And then I paired the 930 Antique Very Dark with the 926 Medium Gray Green. Then the greens are the 730 and 733 Olive Greens, which is kind of funny. They don't actually work up. They don't look super olivey when I worked it up, which I was really happy with. They've got like a little bit of a golden overcast to them that I really like. With my hoop kits, for those of you who've never done one, the design is stamped on the fabric. I am super excited that this is the first kit I've released in which Robert Kaufman Fabric Company is actually digitally printing our fabric for us now. This is a game changer. I'm very excited about this. So basically we order the same Kona cotton that we use for all of our hoop kits, and we provide them with the design, and they digitally print it on the fabric. So the great thing about that is that it's very, very easy to stitch through because it's a very light printing. So you can see the design, but it's very easily hidden by all of the stitches. And it also saves me having to hand stamp every single piece of fabric, which is hard. The hand stamping is challenging because there's a lot of waste involved, because when you're stamping things by hand that are this big, you lose a lot of the designs because not all of it gets stamped perfectly. So we had about a 30% imperfection rate on that, which was just really hard. So this kit is actually going to go live basically just as soon as the DMC floss shows up. We're just waiting for my order of DMC floss because I need the 221 Shell Pink Very Dark. It's one of my new colors for 2022. But I am really excited about this because this takes me just a little farther along my journey of doing embroidery hoop kits on super high quality fabric. This is Robert Kaufman's Kona cotton. It is a incredibly fabulous quilting cotton. It's also great for embroidery. And doing things that take a historical textile or a historical art motif and turn it into an embroidery kit so that these designs aren't lost. The very first one we started with was Pennsylvania Posey, which is actually off of a piece that design is from a piece of Pennsylvania Dutch pottery in the American wing at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. This one, I'll put the source image of the fabric. It's just black and white. It's kind of an old grainy photograph that I found in one of my reference books. But I'll put it on the site so that you can kind of see what this is coming from, where this design is coming from. But I love being able to provide people with an embroidery experience that really connects them to the past. I was even sitting here working on it and just thinking about like, oh wow, think about the different people who have like woven this design or embroidered this design through the ages. And I love that sense of connection with the past, but also like making something new for the future. So that was kind of exciting. And my hoop kits are actually one of the reasons that I want to start, why I'm actually doing the larger trade shows and things like that now, is to get high quality hoop kits into shops for people who want to do these. They're a great starting point. If you've never done surface embroidery, a hoop kit can be really, really a fabulous place to start. Yeah, so anyways, and plus with printing our own fabric, ooh, this is kind of exciting. We have options. We're no longer limited by a 6-inch hoop. So we are a little bit limited by the startup because it's a definite much higher buy-in because we have to commit to a certain number of yards, and it's a, let's just say a very high number of yards of printed fabric. But it does open the door down the road to doing surface embroidery, hand embroidery kits that are larger for things like cushions and table runners, which is something I've wanted to do for a really long time. And so I am working with Kaufman right now to sort of like try out some of their linens and some of their other fabrics and see what they can digitally print on. And that's something that's definitely on my design plate. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, we've gone through all the steps. Oh wait, nope, there's one more. There's one more. So I'm almost done. I literally think maybe tonight or tomorrow I'm gonna finish this up. Now, sorry, it's been in my hoop and in my Q-snap, so it doesn't look its best. But this is the new Arcadian Peony design. I'm really excited about this one. It's so beautiful. And I use this really heavy olive, kind of olive leaf motif border all the way around it. And it's just, it worked. I wasn't certain it was gonna work, and I just love it now that I'm seeing it all stitched up. So this will also release sometime in 2022. And I'm gonna be doing more on Instagram stories because my people are telling me that I need to be doing more with Instagram stories. Does anyone else feel like they just get all that social media stuff figured out and then everybody changes it on you and then you have to figure out something new? Ooh, yes, that's how I feel most of the time. I'm gonna start doing more with Instagram stories of really kind of showing more behind the scenes and sharing more of like the art history behind things and stuff like that, because I've had several of you ask about it and I think it would be a really fun format to do that. So stay tuned on Instagram stories. If you haven't signed up for the emails at avleaembroidery.com, you can sign up there. And, oh, big news, I should have led with this. I just was on a Zoom call this morning with my Wix agent, Nathan, my beloved Wix agent. And Nathan just told me that the app, the new Avlea app that many of you have already responded to me about, thank you for that feedback, it was so helpful. You do not have to be a member now to see the how-to videos. So you can just open up the app and you are good to go. And there's the how-to videos right there on your phone, really convenient. If you've ordered download patterns from Avlea, you can just open your email, find that link, download it to your phone, and you can just see the download pattern on your phone. You can also order download patterns right from the Avlea app, and then there they are right there on your phone, which is pretty cool. Especially it's nice because you can kind of zoom in and zoom out on patterns and make it a little easier to stitch. So, and then the last thing, this was kind of exciting. This happened. Like I say, it's been really busy the last couple of weeks, and I know I say that every time, but the last few weeks have been really busy. Taproot magazine just reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. They want me to do articles and projects for 2 more issues this coming year. And so I'm really excited that I will be in I think it's maybe the April issue of Taproot magazine. And I'm doing an article on heirlooms for them. How to create heirlooms, how to care for heirlooms, why you might want heirlooms in your life, specifically stitched heirlooms. And there'll be a project to go with it that is the most awesome border design. Oh, as a table runner, wow. I just put the kit together this morning for myself to stitch it. I'm really excited. It'll be really great. So lots going on. Yeah, do follow me on Instagram. If you enjoy the floss tubes, if you love Avlea patterns, spread the word. Share it with your friends. Tell them to follow me on Instagram. Tell them to check out the website. Sign up for the emails. All the things. But I just want to thank you all. As I come to the end of 2022, I'm going to get a little serious here. I might even tear up. I am so grateful for all of you. All of you are what has made my dream of becoming an embroidery designer and sharing the world of historical folk embroidery with others a reality. And again, I know I say it often, but I am so aware of the fact that if it was not for you stitching my designs, giving me feedback, buying download patterns, recommending me to your local needle workshop, I wouldn't be sitting here today getting to share this world with you. You are what makes this happen. And I'm just very, very grateful for all of you. And I just want to send you all the love and all the things, especially like this holiday season. And however you celebrate that, I'm wishing you just the most joyful and blessed and beautiful celebrations for you and your family. Thanks so much for joining me today.